would then sometimes attack me. Like, you know, where there would be moments where we'd have a meeting and he'd come at me and I'd leave there thinking like, this little motherfucker. Punk didn't trust me and I didn't trust Punk.
He made me sick. That is how one wrestler once felt about Triple H. And today that feeling sounds almost impossible. Right now, Triple H looks like the calmest man in WWE. He is the chief content officer. He sits near the very top of the company. He is the picture of a smart and steady boss. Many younger stars call him a mentor. They grew up inside his NXT system. They trained at his performance center. They trusted his long-term plans for their careers. To them, he is the smart and steady leader who helped save the modern wrestling business. But the older stories tell a very different tale. While we go through each name, use the hype feature and give this video hype. If you think trust in WWE has always been about power, hit that hype now and let us begin. For years, the men who shared a locker room with Triple H saw a different person. They did not see a kind teacher. They saw a careful and cold man who loved politics. Some of them called him a phony. Some called him a coward. Some even called him a liar. They said he used trust like a weapon. He could use it to block a star. He could use it to punish a star. He could use it to control a star. To these veterans, trust was not a warm word. It was a tool. This is not just old history. The same trust theme still follows him today. In late 2023, he finally made peace with CM Punk, but only under strict company control. In 2024, he handed Ken Shamrock a Legends deal, years after their Cold War. In 2025, Carlito quietly left the company and said Triple H never truly understood him. Also in 2025, a series called WWE Unreal opened up old wounds about Punk and trust once again. So the simple question remains, why did so many stars feel that Triple H never truly trusted them? To find the answer, you have to look at how the company itself has changed. For a long time, WWE was run by Vince McMahon. His style was wild and full of surprises. A star could rise out of nowhere. One lucky day could turn a nobody into a champion. Talent used to joke about it. They said it was like slipping on a banana peel and landing as the champ. There was little planning. There was only the mood of the boss. Triple H runs things in the opposite way. His style is rigid and built on long-term plans. Under his hand, a star cannot rise by luck or by accident. A star can only rise if they are already part of a planned structure. Everything is mapped out in advance. This shift from chaos to control is the key to the whole story, and trust sits right at the center of it. Triple H's name among the boys has always been split in two. The young stars who came up under him in NXT think he is brilliant, and many of them should, given the help he gave their careers. But the older men who had to work with him back in the day tell a very different story. They tell it almost as one voice. To them, he was a master of locker room politics. In his active days, this had a name. People called it spot protection. It meant guarding your own place on the card at all costs. It meant making sure no rising star could push you down. Triple H was famous for it. He would even ask the writers a blunt question before reading a script. He wanted to know if he was winning that night. His own dominance came first, and he was not above cruel office behavior either. He once helped Vince McMahon hold down a loyal veteran named Gerald Briscoe during a degrading backstage stunt. That was the kind of man the veterans remember. To understand that, you must first understand what trust means in wrestling. It is not a small thing. It means staying safe in the ring so nobody gets badly hurt. It means keeping the secrets of the business. It means following the plan you are handed. It means protecting the brand at all times. And it means never embarrassing the office in front of the public. Trust is the real currency in this world. Without it, a star is simply not safe to push. A star with no trust is a danger to the whole show. Triple H learned this lesson the hard way. Back in 1996, there was a moment known as the curtain call. A group of his close friends broke character right in front of the fans. In those days, that was a huge sin. The fans were not meant to know the truth behind the show. The company needed someone to blame for it. They chose to punish Triple H. He took the heat alone while others walked free. He carried the weight of the whole group on his back. That single moment shaped the rest of his thinking. From then on, he believed that talent must obey the company line above everything else. He learned that loyalty had a price. He learned that trust, in the end, was really about control. So this is the heart of the whole story. Triple H did not only judge talent, he judged whether a star could be trusted with power, with titles, and with the WWE name itself. Talent alone was never the test. A man could be the best wrestler in the building. He could draw the loudest cheers of the night. None of that mattered if Triple H did not trust him. The real question was always the same. Could this person be handed the keys to the kingdom without putting the kingdom at risk? For some, the answer was a clear no, and it stayed no for years. For others, the answer slowly changed over time, and for a few, the distrust simply followed them out the door. Each story is different. Each man fell foul of trust in his own way, but the thread that ties them all is the same. Here are 9 stars he could never fully trust, counting down from number 9 all the way to number 1. At number 9, we have Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was a star the fans truly loved. He was wild, brave, and different from everyone else. He took risks no one else would take. He painted his face and flew off ladders. The crowd adored him for it. In 2008, his fan support was enormous. People packed arenas hoping to see him hold the top prize. Inside the company, many people agreed with them. A creative writer named Freddie Prinze Jr. pushed very hard for Hardy to win the WWE Championship. A veteran producer named Michael Hayes pushed for it too. Prinze Jr. even wrote out a full, multi-week story plan. He drafted every promo segment so that Hardy would look like a true franchise player. About 90% of the agents and performers backed the idea. Even the champion at that time, Edge, supported the move. But Triple H did not support it. He led the opposition against it. The executive producer Kevin Dunn stood right beside him. In a production meeting, Triple H challenged the whole creative team to their faces. He asked one cold and direct question: "Are we really going to trust the championship with this guy?" His worry was not pulled out of thin air. Hardy had a history of drug-related wellness policy problems. He did not always put company duties first. Triple H saw all of that as a real risk. Matt Hardy, who is Jeff's own brother, later explained the truth of it. He said Triple H did not act out of personal hate. He acted out of a strict, straight business mindset. Triple H simply did not believe that Hardy could be trusted to carry a major brand on his shoulders. To save the plan, Prinze Jr. had to get clever. He brought hard numbers straight to Vince McMahon. He proved that Hardy's armbands and t-shirts were currently outselling Triple H's own merchandise. That fact changed the mood in the room. Vince finally approved the title run. But the run was short. It lasted only 42 days. In the end, Triple H's distrust was proven right by time. Less than a year later, Hardy was released after more personal troubles. Then came the famous 2011 Victory Road event in TNA. On that night, Hardy could not perform properly at all. It seemed to confirm the very fear that Triple H had once spoken out loud. Hardy could not be fully trusted to carry a major corporate brand. So here is the painful part of this story. Triple H may have been right about the risk. The facts later backed him up. But look a little closer at his reason. He could not stand the idea of a messy, fan-made star rising outside of his clean and tidy model. Hardy was loved by the people, not built by the office. He was a star the crowd made, not one the company chose. And that, more than anything, made Triple H uneasy. A man he could not fully control was a man he could not fully trust. Even when the numbers proved Hardy's value, the doubt never truly left. At number 8, we have CM Punk. This is the cleanest trust story of them all. The bond between CM Punk and Triple H was built on deep mutual distrust from the very start. There was no slow build to it. The bad blood was there before Punk ever became a star. Before Punk even reached the main roster, the doubt was already there. Triple H, along with Shawn Michaels and Arn Anderson, heavily criticized Punk during his dark matches. These were the matches held before the cameras went live. That criticism created a cold and hostile feeling around the young talent. The distrust grew in 2005. Punk was set to make his televised debut on Sunday Night Heat. Mickie James was going to be his manager in the segment. It should have been his first big step. But the plan was shelved for good. It was scrapped after strong backstage lobbying by Triple H and Shawn Michaels. The door was closed before Punk could even walk through it. Before the public ever saw him, the office had already decided he was a problem. That is how early the distrust truly began. The gap grew much wider during the 2011 summer of Punk. At that time, Punk was the hottest babyface in the whole industry. The fans were behind him in a way that was rare, but Triple H placed himself right into the middle of the story. This led to a very controversial choice at Night of Champions 2011. In a chaotic match that also involved Kevin Nash and Alberto Del Rio, a semi-retired Triple H pinned Punk cleanly. Many fans could not believe what they had seen. Years later, both men told their own side. In the 2025 series WWE Unreal, Punk gave his version. He said the tension came from Triple H trying to be two things at once. He was an office executive and an active top star at the same time. To Punk, that created a clear conflict of interest. Triple H gave his own answer on a podcast. He said Punk's deep paranoia made him see the office as the enemy. He said this made it impossible to work together. He recalled it plainly. Punk did not trust me, and I did not trust Punk. He described Punk as a man who closed himself off completely in creative meetings. This frozen distrust pushed Punk to walk out of the company in 2014. The Cold War between them lasted for years. It only ended much later, after Punk was fired from AEW, and after Triple H retired due to his own health. The two men finally set their egos aside. In late 2023, they built a working business relationship. But make no mistake, it was a cold and practical deal, built under strict company control. Triple H may work with Punk now, but only on his own corporate terms. Two proud men found peace, but never warmth. This is the section where the word trust sits at the very center. Both men said it out loud. Punk did not trust the office, and Triple H did not trust Punk. There was no hidden meaning to dig for. It was a plain and open standoff between two stubborn men. One held the power of the office, the other held the love of the crowd. Neither would bend to the other. And when neither side trusts the other, the result is always the same. The bond breaks, and someone walks away. That is exactly what happened here. At number 7, we have Mr. Kennedy. His real name is Ken Anderson. In the mid-2000s, he rose fast and became a prime target. Vince McMahon loved his charisma and his way with a microphone. Vince was full of enthusiasm for him, but Triple H worked steadily to chip away at that. He kept telling Vince that Kennedy was simply not ready for a world title run. He repeated the doubt again and again, drip by drip. There is one story that shows his power perfectly. The company planned a dark and spooky storyline. A developmental wrestler named Heyday Vanson was going to debut on SmackDown. He would lead a creepy, cult-like group to feud with The Undertaker. When the idea was pitched, Triple H buried it in seconds. He mockingly told Vince that the man looked like he cuts my grass. Vince laughed at the joke. And just like that, the whole high-profile plan was dropped. One cruel comment was all it took. That is how Triple H could kill a push without lifting a finger. Kennedy's time in the company ended in May 2009. It happened during a 10-man tag match on Monday Night Raw. Kennedy botched a move on Randy Orton with a sloppy backdrop. Both Orton and John Cena complained bitterly to Vince afterwards. They claimed Kennedy was reckless and unsafe to work with. Triple H seized that moment at once. He used the complaints to back up his long-standing claims about Kennedy. Days later, Kennedy was fired. So this section is really about timing. Triple H did not have to swing the axe himself. He only had to make Vince doubt the man first. He planted the seed of doubt and then waited. He let it grow slowly over the months. When the in-ring mistake finally came, the doubt was already there. All it needed was one push to fall. The complaints from Orton and Cena gave that final push. Kennedy had charisma and a gift on the microphone, but he also had injuries and wellness problems. That mix made him an easy target. The patient politics of Triple H did the rest. At number 6, we have Rob Van Dam. RVD came from the wild, free style of ECW. That world did not match the neat corporate look of WWE. ECW was raw and rough and built on chaos. WWE was polished and careful and built on order. RVD carried the spirit of the old ECW with him. During the 2001 Invasion angle, fans roared for him in a huge, organic way. He was one of the most over stars on the whole roster, but Triple H pushed back behind the scenes. He distrusted RVD's laid-back attitude. He distrusted his weed-centered lifestyle. He distrusted his stiff in-ring kicks. To Triple H, none of it could be properly controlled. RVD was popular, but he played by his own rules. And that was the very thing the office could not stand. That distrust became physical at Survivor Series 2002. It was the first ever Elimination Chamber match. RVD went for a 5-star frog splash off the top of a pod. He landed badly and crashed down onto Triple H's throat. It nearly caused a serious injury. The danger was very real that night. The office handled RVD in a strange way. WWE wanted to keep their popular star, but he refused to stop using marijuana. So they gave him a special 3-month deal. This deal exempted him from the standard drug testing rules. It was a loophole built just for him. It let RVD keep his lifestyle without facing a ban. It showed something important. The office would bend the rules for a big merchandise draw, but it would still hold back its full trust. The doubts were proven right in the summer of 2006. RVD had finally won both the WWE and ECW championships. It was the peak of his career, but soon after, he was pulled over and arrested for drug possession. An embarrassed Vince McMahon stripped him of both titles right away. His main event push was dropped for good. So once again, Triple H looked harsh, but turned out correct. Still, the deeper point remains the same. The arrest made Triple H look wise, but his distrust came long before that night. He did not distrust RVD because of a crime. He distrusted him because RVD was free. RVD did things his own way. He kept his own style and his own habits. He did not bend to fit the corporate mold. That freedom was the true crime in Triple H's eyes. A star who could not be fully shaped was a star who could not be fully trusted. The arrest just gave him an easy reason for a feeling he already held. At number 5, we have Matt Riddle. His story is a modern version of an old problem. It is the clash between great athletic talent and constant trouble outside the ring. Under Vince McMahon, Riddle was pushed hard. He was a true athlete with a real fighting background. Vince was willing to put up with strange behavior as long as a star drew money. As long as Riddle followed the written drug rules, he had a place. But things changed fast in 2022. That is when Triple H took full creative control as chief content officer. Suddenly, Riddle's standing began to slip. Triple H looked at Riddle's growing list of scandals. There were failed drug tests. There were very public divorces. There was erratic behavior at international airports. To Triple H, all of this was an unacceptable risk to the brand. A loose cannon did not fit that world. One small story sums up the whole broken trust. Riddle was calling a match with Triple H in a backstage session. As they spoke, a vape pen slipped out of Riddle's pocket. It fell and struck Triple H. Riddle tried to laugh it off in the moment. He acted like it was nothing at all. Triple H looked down at the pen with cold eyes. Then he replied flatly, "That is what we expect from you, bro." It was a short line, but it carried a heavy weight. In one sentence, he showed exactly how the office saw Riddle. They saw a man who was not serious. They saw a man who kept sabotaging his own career. They saw a problem that would never truly be fixed. The end came in September 2023. Riddle was right in the middle of a television story with Drew McIntyre at the time. It did not matter. Triple H ordered his release anyway. The message was clear. Riddle had burned through every chance he had been given. This is where Triple H acts as a corporate filter. He may tolerate raw talent, but he will not tolerate chaos near the brand. Vince once put up with strange stars as long as they made money. Triple H thinks in a colder way. He thinks about sponsors. He thinks about the public image of the company. Under TKO, a wild card is not worth the risk, no matter how gifted he may be. Riddle was a fine athlete with real charisma, but none of that could save him. His chaos outweighed his skill. And in the new WWE, chaos is the one thing the office will never trust. At number 4, we have Enzo Amore. His real name is Eric Arndt. His tale is a warning about going around the chain of command. Arndt first got into WWE through a clever link. He used a connection with a personal trainer named James DeFranco. That trainer worked with both Arndt and the McMahon and Levesque family. Through him, Arndt got a promo tape directly into Triple H's hands. It was a smart move that paid off at first. Triple H even championed his push in NXT. He saw real spark in the young man. For a while, Arndt had the boss on his side. But that goodwill did not last long. Once Arndt reached the main roster, he wasted his political capital fast. Whenever he disliked his script or his direction, he did something risky. He skipped past the writing team and Triple H completely. He took his complaints straight to Vince McMahon instead. Vince actually liked this. He enjoyed Arndt's passion and his raw creativity, but Triple H and the writers saw it very differently. To them, it was a direct threat to order and structure. His standing fell apart in early 2018. He was suspended after public allegations of a serious crime. As he was escorted from the building, he reportedly made a bold remark. He said the company needed him more than he needed them. That comment was soon repeated back to Vince McMahon. And with that, Arndt lost his last protector in the office. Triple H was then able to turn the suspension into a full termination. The official reason was that Arndt failed to tell the office about an active police investigation. So this is a hard lesson in WWE power. A star can be loud, but a star can never be louder than the system itself. Enzo had a real gift for talking. He could light up a crowd with his words, but he made one fatal mistake. He thought his passion made him bigger than the rules. He went around the chain of command once too often. For a while, Vince's favor shielded him. The moment that shield dropped, there was nothing left to save him. The system he ignored was the same system that removed him. At number 3, we have Chris Jericho. His friction with Triple H goes back to 1999. Jericho defected from WCW and joined WWE. He walked into a very protective locker room. The top stars, led by Triple H and the D-Generation X group, looked down on WCW talent. They saw them as weaker and lesser. They did not want outsiders taking their spots. So Jericho was placed under a giant microscope. Every small mistake he made was reported straight to Vince McMahon. The goal was to bury the newcomer. One story sums up the cold welcome. Early on, Jericho tried to build a friendship. He phoned Triple H to ask for simple directions to an arena. Triple H gave a sharp and dismissive answer. He said, "Get a map." Then he hung up the phone. That set the hostile tone for their early days together. Things turned serious during a storyline with Chyna. Chyna was Triple H's girlfriend at the time. She accused Jericho of working too stiff in the ring. She said he gave her a small black eye, a shiner under her eye. Triple H and his allies complained to Vince at once. Vince cornered Jericho in his office. He chewed him out heavily, right in front of Triple H. He forced Jericho to give a humiliating apology to Chyna backstage. It was a cold and degrading moment for the new man. But this story has a turning point. Over time, Jericho's elite work ethic could not be denied. His efforts slowly forced Triple H to accept him. In the end, they became main event peers and even close friends. So Triple H could change his mind, but only after he made the outsider suffer first. The respect came late, and it came at a price. This is what makes Jericho's tale stand apart from the rest. Most targets never won Triple H over. Jericho did, but he had to earn it the hardest way. He had to take the cold welcome. He had to take the burials. He had to take the humiliation in front of the boss. He had to prove himself over and over again. Only after all of that did the door finally open. It shows that trust from Triple H was never freely given. It had to be wrenched out of him through years of pain. For the WCW outsider, that was the only path that ever worked. At number 2, we have Edge. His real name is Adam Copeland. This story shows how trust can become a pure political weapon. In 2005, Edge had a real-life affair with Lita. Lita was still in a relationship with Matt Hardy at the time. The whole situation made the locker room very tense and bitter. Real lives and real feelings were caught up in it. The drama spilled over from private life into the workplace. It split opinions among the boys. Triple H took advantage of that heat. He lobbied both Vince McMahon and the locker room hard. He claimed that Edge had shown a serious lack of personal honesty. He said that Edge could not be trusted in the locker room going forward. He wrapped his attack in the language of morals, but many veterans saw straight through it. They found his sudden outrage to be deeply hypocritical. After all, Triple H had his own controversial romantic past. He had moved from a relationship with Chyna to one with Stephanie McMahon. That shift had played a part in Chyna leaving the company for good, so the quiet resentment was real. People did not see a man defending honor. They saw a man trying to derail a rising rival. It looked like a clever attempt to block a threat, dressed up as ethics. In the end, the plan did not work. Vince McMahon made a different choice. He decided to use the real-life heat instead of killing the push. He kept Edge in a top main event spot. So this section is one of the most negative of all. It shows how moral words can be twisted into a political tool. Edge survived only because Vince saw value in the controversy that Triple H wanted to bury. Think about what really happened here. Triple H used the language of honor and decency. He spoke about trust and about character. But many believed his true goal was far less noble. They believed he simply wanted to stop a rising star. Real personal failings became a handy weapon for him. He did not invent the affair, but he used it for his own gain. That is the danger in this story. When trust becomes a tool, even a true fact can be bent into a political attack. Edge was lucky that the boss saw through it. Many others were not so lucky. At number 1, we have Ken Shamrock. He is the real fighter that Triple H truly feared. Shamrock came to WWE from the UFC. He was known as the world's most dangerous man. His real fighting record was no act. He had hurt people for real, inside a real cage, and that was the problem. His genuine toughness threatened the carefully built tough guy images of the top stars. A real fighter made the pretend ones look small. In a world built on illusion, a man of real danger stood out far too much. The fear ran deep. According to Bret Hart, Triple H and Shawn Michaels actively plotted to get Shamrock fired. This happened during his first year in the company. They viewed his physical presence and his outside background with heavy distrust. They did not want a true fighter standing too close to the top. Shamrock did not stay silent about it. He openly spoke of his dislike for Triple H. He accused Triple H of having a massive ego. He said Triple H used backstage politics to keep talented people down. He said it was all done to protect his own spot at the top. Triple H and Michaels kept up the pressure. They told Vince that Shamrock was unsafe in the ring. They claimed he did not understand the art of wrestling. Their campaign worked. Shamrock was kept away from the WWE Championship. He never won the big one. He left the company in 1999, his real strength never fully used. This section reveals the deepest truth of all. Triple H's distrust was not always about safety. It was not always about risk, sometimes it was about fear. He feared a man who felt too real, too dangerous, and too hard to control. A pretend tough guy can be managed, a real one cannot. Shamrock had done his fighting for real, in a real cage. That truth could not be booked or scripted, and it made the make-believe toughness of the top stars look hollow by comparison. That is what truly worried them. The cold feeling lasted for decades. But time has a way of softening things. In 2024, WWE offered Shamrock a lucrative Legends contract. The fighter Triple H once feared finally came back in from the cold. It is a fitting end for a man who was pushed out by fear rather than by fault. Shamrock did nothing wrong in the ring. His only crime was being too real for a pretend world. Years later, the company that once plotted against him welcomed him home. The fear had finally faded, but it took a very long time. Those are the 9 core names, but they are not the only ones. Triple H's gatekeeping touched many more careers. These stars faced the same cold system in smaller ways. Their stories are shorter, but the pattern is just as clear. Each one fell foul of the same idea of trust. Each one rose in a way the office did not plan or like. Take Booker T. Their feud led into WrestleMania 19 in 2003. The storyline used racially charged words. Triple H threw money at Booker and mocked him. He said people like you were not meant to be world champions. He even hinted Booker should act as his driver or his bag carrier. A heel who draws that much hate is supposed to lose in the end. It gives the fans their payoff. The bad guy is meant to get his comeuppance. But Triple H won the match cleanly instead. To make it worse, he hit his finisher and then waited. He waited nearly a full minute before slowly making the cover. It was a clear effort to damage Booker's standing. It was a way to keep him down while looking strong. Booker's rise to the main event was blocked for years after that night. The feud is still seen as one of the most shameful in the company's history. Then there is Sting. For over a decade, Sting refused to sign with WWE. He openly said he did not trust how the company treated WCW talent. He remembered watching Booker T debut in 2001. The Rock buried him on live television by asking, "Who are you?" That moment stuck with Sting for years. He saw it as a warning. Sting said something inside him never trusted what might happen, based on the track record with other WCW guys. When he finally signed in 2014, his fears came true. At WrestleMania 31, he lost cleanly to Triple H. The match became a DX versus NWO nostalgia segment. The fans had wanted Sting against The Undertaker. Instead, they got an old war replayed. Even years later, the desire to defeat WCW one more time won out over good sense. Consider Scott Steiner. His short run in 2002 and 2003 was full of conflict. Steiner said Triple H used politics to wreck their title matches. Steiner had a serious foot drop injury that limited his movement. He claimed Triple H refused to cooperate on the match layout. That choice exposed his weakness to the crowd. It made a strong man look slow and broken. There was also a drug testing standoff. When the office asked Steiner to take a steroid test, he agreed to one thing. He said Triple H must take the test alongside him. He even joked they could ride together in a limo to do it. He knew Triple H's huge frame might not pass. WWE quickly dropped the testing request for both men. The double standard was plain for all to see. The rules bent for the man with power. Steiner's credibility never recovered, and his run was over in under 3 months. Look at Carlito. His real name is Carly Colon. Under Vince, he won many titles and did well. He held the Intercontinental, United States, and Tag Team Gold. But after returning under Triple H, he was barely used. He joined the Judgment Day group, yet still went nowhere. Carlito admitted he was never one of the boss's favorites. He said he did not think Triple H got his character at all. Because of that, he signed a shorter 2-year deal instead of a longer one. He was betting against his own future in the company. In June 2025, the company chose not to renew him. He asked to be written off television properly. Instead, his contract simply expired, with no proper send-off at all. It showed a cold lack of care for a star who did not fit the plan. There is also Austin Theory. Vince saw him as a hand-picked future face. He won the Money in the Bank briefcase under that plan. But when Triple H took over, he reversed the push. He pruned the young stars that Vince had chosen. He had Theory cash in his contract on the mid-card United States title, not the world title. Fans found the choice strange and weak. Then Theory was put in a feud with John Cena before WrestleMania 39. Cena cut a brutal promo that buried Theory's character on live television. The words cut deep and felt all too real. Theory won the match, but his momentum was gone. He faded into a mid-card comedy tag act beside Grayson Waller. Finally, think of Zack Ryder. His real name is Matt Cardona. He built his own fame on YouTube and social media. He was one of the first to do it that way. He forced the company to notice him, and they gave him the United States title. But Triple H and the office distrusted this self-made success. They did not like a star who rose without their say. When Ryder wore his own homemade social media championship belt, Triple H confronted him. He asked if Ryder was a mark for himself. He said that in his day, Ryder would have got beaten up for that. After this, Ryder was buried on screen. He was beaten down, run over in a wheelchair, and stripped of his title. The message to the locker room was loud and clear. No star may promote their own brand without the office saying yes first. So what does all of this finally mean? The answer lies in how Triple H changed over time. He is a man who learned hard lessons and grew from them. He took the pain of his own past and built something solid. But the old stories still matter. They show why so many stars once feared his version of trust. You cannot fully understand the leader without knowing the locker room general he used to be. The two men are really one man, seen at different stages of the same long climb. In the WWE that Triple H built, raw talent was never quite enough on its own. You had to be useful, you had to be safe, you had to be quiet, and you had to be approved. The crowd could love you all they wanted. The merchandise could fly off the shelves, but if the office did not trust you, none of it would save you. That is the cold rule that runs through every name on this list. Trust was the door, and Triple H held the only key. That is exactly why these 9 names matter so much. Add to them all the others who felt the same cold hand. They prove a simple and chilling truth. When Triple H said he did not trust someone, that single judgment could change a whole career. It could stop a title run. It could end a contract. It could turn a future champion into a forgotten name. And for these men, it did exactly that. In the end, in Triple H's WWE, trust was the most powerful weapon of all. It built careers, and it broke them, from one man's word. That is the lesson these names teach.